The courtroom always smelled faintly of paper and disinfectant. Not clean exactly, just controlled. Every emotion that entered was expected to flatten itself into procedure. I sat on the narrow wooden bench with my hands folded, watching a dust particle drift lazily in a beam of afternoon light. It moved more freely than I felt. Across the aisle, wife sat upright beside her attorney. Her shoulders were squared, her back straight. She looked prepared. Certain. I looked tired. When her lawyer asked her to describe our marriage, she didn't hesitate. "He's just a useless husband," she said, her voice steady, emotionally absent. "Financially unreliable. I carried everything." A few people in the gallery shifted. Someone coughed. I didn't move. Had learned, over years, that reacting too quickly only gave people something else to dismiss. The word useless landed softly, like ash. Wasn't new. It had appeared in arguments, in late-night frustrations, in half-joking remarks to friends. Hearing it spoken formally, into a microphone, made it feel official, as if it were being stamped onto my identity. The judge looked at me briefly, not with sympathy, then back to her. "And this has been consistent?" he asked.
Yes,
she replied. For years, stared at the edge of the desk. There was a small chip in the varnish. Someone before me had probably dug their fingernail into it while waiting for their own life to be summarized. Years. Thought about mornings when I left before sunrise. About the burner phone hidden in my jacket pocket. About meetings that weren't allowed to be mentioned in casual conversation. About how often I'd said, "work stuff," and watched her eyes glaze over. I had chosen invisibility, not heroism, not sacrifice, practicality. Her attorney continued. "Would you say he contributed meaningfully to the household?" "No," she said. "Not really." A pause. "Didn't even manage our finances properly. We were always struggling." That wasn't true. Explaining it would have required explaining everything. And I wasn't allowed to. The judge made a small note. Then he looked up. "Counsel," he said to her attorney, "let me ask you something." The room stilled slightly. Not dramatically. Just enough to feel it. "You've submitted income statements and professional disclosures for both parties," the judge continued. "Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor, and you're confident they are complete?" "Of course." The judge leaned back in his chair. He tapped a pen once against the desk. "You really don't know who he is?" The question was quiet, almost casual, cut through the room. Her attorney blinked. I'm not sure what you mean, Your Honor." The judge turned a page in his folder. "Received supplemental verification this morning from a federal contracting office," he said. "Regarding Mr. Rahman's employment status." My last name sounded strange in his voice, more formal than she ever said it. The attorney stiffened. The judge continued. "It appears Mr. Rahman has been employed for 12 years under restricted classification. His income is routed through intermediary entities. His financial disclosures are legally limited." Silence. My wife's head tilted slightly as if she hadn't heard properly. The judge looked up. "Are you aware," he asked the attorney, "your client's spouse works in risk compliance and security auditing for infrastructure projects under government oversight?" The attorney's mouth opened, then closed. "No, Your Honor," he said finally. "I was not informed of that." My wife turned toward me. Slowly, her face had lost its sharpness. The certainty drained first, leaving confusion behind. "You what?" she whispered, not into the microphone. I didn't answer. The judge wasn't finished. "These contracts prohibit public disclosure," he said. "Also explain irregular hours, limited digital footprint, and restricted financial reporting." He placed his pen down. Useless is not the term I would use. No one laughed. No one reacted loudly. It wasn't that kind of moment. It was worse. It was quiet. Her attorney shuffled papers. Your Honor, we were under the impression. You were under the impression. The judge interrupted gently. Because you did not verify. He turned to me. Mr. Rahman, do you wish to clarify? I stood. My legs felt oddly light. No, Your Honor, I said, I've complied with all disclosure requirements. That is noted. I sat. My wife was staring now, not angrily. Someone realizing a map they trusted was wrong. We resumed. Questions followed, technical ones, about assets, about trusts, about long-term contracts, things I'd never spoken about at dinner, things that had never felt romantic. The narrative shifted, not dramatically but mathematically. Percentages changed, custody considerations adjusted, risk assessments recalculated. The balance moved, not in my favor, toward fairness. Her earlier words hung in the air, now unsupported. By the time the hearing ended, the room felt smaller. In the hallway, people passed us without noticing. Their lives were intact. Ours was being refiled. She stood near the window, arms crossed. I didn't know, she said quietly. I know, I replied. You never told me? I couldn't. You could have tried. Maybe. I looked at the parking lot outside, cars leaving, people returning to routines. Tried in other ways, I said. She nodded once. Not agreement. Acknowledgement. There was no apology. I didn't ask for one. We walked in opposite directions. In my car, I sat for a while before starting the engine. I didn't feel victorious. I felt visible. For the first time in years, my silence had been interpreted correctly, not as emptiness, as restraint. It didn't fix what had broken, didn't restore what we'd lost, but it returned something to me, my name, my weight, my place in my own story, and that was enough to drive home with.